Sponsored by Howell Furniture. From 7 News, this is the Fox 29 Morning Show.
The FBI now says the man that killed 15 people by crashing into a New Orleans crowd was a homegrown terrorist. We'll share what we've learned so far about the suspect and the federal investigation.
And farmers are still waiting for a brand new farm bill from Congress. Why some are hopeful they will get one soon.
And it's a cool start outside this morning, but even colder weather's on the way for next week. I'll have more on that in just a few minutes.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. Welcome to the Fox 29 Morning Show on this Thursday, January 2nd. I'm John Bridges.
And I'm Rhonda Kitchens. The FBI believes a brutal attack in New Orleans that left at least 15 people dead was an act of terrorism.
A driver careened through the crowd celebrating on Bourbon Street. And this morning, the investigation may be widening, as Doug Luzader reports.
Members of Congress among those looking for answers this morning as the FBI continues to learn more about the suspect and whether there were others involved. As day broke, New Orleans was still reeling.
I just don't understand how such evil can exist.
A pickup truck plowed down Bourbon Street as revelers had packed in to celebrate the new year. At least 15 people were killed.
If you don't believe in objective evil, all you need to do is go walk about 30 or 40 yards that way.
Police say the driver was 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar, who was killed in a gunfight, and an ISIS flag was found on the truck.
As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe.
I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you.
President Biden spoke from Camp David, saying the driver had posted videos on social media referencing ISIS. At the same time, police in Las Vegas were investigating a Tesla Cybertruck that exploded just outside the Trump Hotel, killing the driver. Was it related?
Do I think it's a coincidence? I don't know, but what I can tell you is we're absolutely investigating any connectivity to what happened in New Orleans, as well as other attacks that have been occurring around the world. We're not ruling anything out yet.
In the meantime, the Sugar Bowl, scheduled to be played yesterday in New Orleans, was rescheduled to this afternoon.
There were a bunch of folks in Washington that I've talked to. They didn't want us to postpone the game, okay? They said it'll just cause mass hysteria.
And police, meantime, have been searching the suspect's home in Houston, looking for evidence and any possible links to a wider plot. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Sugar Bowl officials say the Superdome and surrounding areas are safe for this afternoon's game between Georgia and Notre Dame.
Meanwhile, the NFL says it's creating a comprehensive security plan for the next big event at the Superdome next month, the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has never actually been postponed, and it's only been delayed once. In 2013, the last time it was hosted in New Orleans, a power outage in the third quarter delayed the game between the Ravens and the 49ers for over 30 minutes. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has issued a state of emergency for Orleans Parish. It will allow the parish to use all available state resources to keep residents and tourists in the parish safe. It will also allow for state resources to help ensure that Super Bowl 59 and the upcoming Mardi Gras season are safe as well. Chaos from coast to coast over the last 24 hours. We're following this crime scene out of New York. Authorities say at least 10 teenagers are injured in a shooting in Queens. It happened late last night. NYPD officials say 4 men fired about 30 rounds into a crowd of 15 people standing outside of a private event space. They left the scene in a light-colored car with out-of-state plates. The victims, 6 females and 4 males, were taken to nearby hospitals. They range in age from 16 to 19 years old. All of them are expected to recover with non-life-threatening injuries.
There's zero tolerance for these senseless shootings, these horrible acts of violence on our streets. And those responsible for this crime will be apprehended and brought to justice.
As the investigation continues, police are asking the public to come forward with information they have. After months of pleading for a new farm bill, Congress enacts a 1-year extension to the current 7-year-old bill.
But as KPLC's Morgan Babineau reports, farmers are optimistic a new bill will be completed before the end of this year.
You're basically extending the 2018 Farm Bill, and the prices and everything that were in effect in 2018 are not what we're currently dealing with. I mean, what restaurants, what grocery stores do you know where you walk in there and you're paying the same prices you were in 2018? Zero.
Farmers across the country agree the current farm bill, which was first introduced in 2018, is now outdated.
This is basically a short-term fix. It's what it is. And we're thankful for it, but we want Congress to work and not bottleneck everything.
On December 21st, before the 118th Congress disbanded, a one-year extension to the bill was passed. Recent farm bills have faced legislative hurdles, such as insufficient votes to pass the House floor, presidential vetoes, and delays, ultimately resulting in short-term extensions. Apart from the extension, Congress also recently passed the American Relief Act of 2025, which will keep the government funded through March 14th. The act contains $9.8 billion in market relief payments for 20 covered crops and nearly $21 billion for disaster relief.
This isn't something that's done every year. This is more of an ad hoc disaster program. So there's actually $31 billion in money that's earmarked for agriculture. 21 billion, or not quite 21 billion of that, is earmarked for disaster payments. So hurricanes, droughts, wildfires, floods, things of that nature.
Market relief payments typically assist farmers with costs such as handling, packaging, labor, and more. Producers are currently facing a decline in crop prices while total production costs remain elevated. Both Vail and Smith think a new farm bill will be passed before the end of 2025. Either way, they say they will press on.
Farmers are pretty much eternal optimists. You have to be. I mean, I've told you that before. You're not going to go throw seed in the ground every year. You got to kind of have a hope and prayer on it. So it's what you deal with.
Morgan Babineau, 7 News.
Economic aid will come 90 days after passage, which was December 21st. Congress faces 2 principal expiration dates in September and December. Housing, infrastructure, and businesses are all things that can contribute to a city's growth.
Several of our surrounding areas saw a significant amount of development, and more is expected in the coming year. In 2024 alone, with public and private investments, over $600 million worth of projects were underway in the city of Lake Charles. According to Mayor Nick Hunter, some of that was infrastructure, but most was housing.
It has been decades since we have seen this much development spread throughout the entire city. And by the way, that figure I mentioned is before we even talk about the new I-10 bridge and probably another $200 million of infrastructure projects set to happen over the next couple years.
Mayor Hunter says 2025 will represent the completion of a lot of housing investments in the city. To see more about projects expected to be completed in Lake Charles this year, go to KPLCTV.com. This morning, Louisiana is waking up to some good news from the West Coast.
The state's Saturday night float in the annual Tournament of Roses parade is taking home a national award again. The tourism department says the float is getting the Director's Award for most outstanding artistic design and use of floral and non-floral materials. What's your forecast like on this Thursday morning? Well, Chief Meteorologist Wade Hampton is next to talk about that.
Ooh, look at that pretty morning out there at 7:08, 39 degrees in DeRidder.